Hey everyone, welcome to Inside Indiana Overtime again. It's been a while since the two of us did this together, but we're back from break, from winter break, and back to quite the game tonight. Not really the game we expected to watch. I think we both kind of expected Wisconsin to, as they have done for 7 years, beat Indiana fairly easily, and that obviously didn't happen. It looked like it was going to happen a couple times. Wisconsin got out to a 10-point lead midway through the second half, and I know personally I thought that was, it's happening again for Indiana. They've played, Wisconsin close. They're down 1 at halftime, and everything's going to slip away from them now. But it didn't. Indiana went on a 19-5 run, and was able to kind of keep pace ahead of Wisconsin through the final minutes and ended up winning 75-72 for the first time since January 31st of 2007. We were both in high school then, which was like young high school, like sophomore in high school.
No, that would be like our freshman year in high school.
That's weird. I might have still had braces the last time that Indiana beat Wisconsin. But we'll get back to the present. That's not so embarrassing for me. Tonight, it was a lot of it was on Yogi Ferrell and especially Stan Robinson late in the game. I mean, what did you see, Robby? Obviously Yogi Ferrell didn't shoot too well, 10 for 24. But what did you see from him late that was able to kind of push Indiana to this one?
Well, when it was crunch time, Yogi made the big shots. I mean, and that goes for all the Hoosiers. I mean, Stan missed a couple shots there late, but he was 2 for 3 from the line. He makes the big layups. He obviously draws the fouls to get to the line, and Yogi, of course, comes up with 2:53 to go. He makes a little move on his defender, pulls up. He said he felt really good about the shot, so he let it fly, even though he was 0 for 7 from behind the three-point line before that. And the game was tied at 65. He pulls up, he makes that shot. IU doesn't give the lead up the rest of the time. When IU needed to make shots, they made the shots, and that's the difference between winning and losing. And really, that's been the difference this year for IU is in crunch time. I'm thinking especially back to Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And I mean, even UConn, when IU needed the stops down the stretch, they didn't get them. Tonight, they made the shots when they needed to make the shots. They got the stops that they needed, just enough, just barely 75-72. But they did make enough plays to win the game.
Yeah, and they got over that hump that they just, for Notre Dame, the whole second half they were within striking distance and would tie it or get within 1 or get within 2, and not being able to string together a stop and a basket. Tonight they were able to do that. When they were down, I think it was 52-42, and then they went on a 12-0 run
to take the lead.
Yeah, which was the first lead since like 3 minutes into the game, and that was just kind of one of those things where that's the sign of a team that is starting to get it, that is starting to be able to understand that, Wilshere was saying this after the game, that it doesn't matter if you're down 15 early to Penn State or if you're down 10 to Wisconsin. There's a lot of game left to play. There's a lot of things that can still go your way, and it's really the sign of, like you said, a winning team, a good team, that they're able to mentally stay in the game and maintain the confidence and fight back and win. And again, like you said, I mean, late in the game, it was a lot of things went really well. I mean, even when there was Crean took Vonleh out of the game in lieu of Etherington, and you could just feel the crowd at Assembly Hall just think, no,
nervous,
no. I think IU was up 4 at the time, and even that, Wisconsin goes down and gets a layup and a foul and completes the 3-point play on Etherington, and then Vonleh comes back in, and they're able to kind of recover from that. But it was another one of those things where something went wrong late, where it could have been one of those here we go again moments this season, and it wasn't really.
I think a lot of that goes back to the Penn State game.
Yeah.
On Saturday, IU overcame a 15-point deficit there and comes back to win. It was a road game. They didn't have the crowd like they had tonight, which Stan Robinson said gave him that little extra energy. He said he was tired, but after he heard the crowd, he's like, I wasn't tired anymore after that. Crean said it was the best crowd of the year, and so you add that to the fact that this team now knows that they can come back and win games. This is a team that made up a lot of freshmen and sophomores, not a whole lot of experience, and so now they just have that under their belt that, hey, it doesn't matter that we're down 10 points. We still have 15 minutes or whatever to go. we've got time to dig out of this hole, and they know that they can do that, and now they've done it 2 times in a row.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to ask you about that Penn State game because I wasn't able to actually watch most of that game. But what are kind of some of the parallels that you saw between, obviously the 15-point lead was a little bit earlier in the game than
Right.
this one tonight. But what are kind of some of the parallels that you saw between those two comebacks and those two games?
IU just never lost their composure, and there have been times, especially thinking back to the Syracuse game. If I recall, I don't know if this is exactly correct, but I think IU was down like 1 at halftime.
Yeah,
at
they're
Syracuse.
down.
It was definitely
it was
single
like a
digits.
basket. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. At halftime, and it looked like IU was going to be in this, and then they come out and they made the first basket after halftime, and after that completely crumbled against Syracuse, and obviously lost their composure. It wasn't like that against Penn State, and definitely not today. When there have been times when IU could hit the mat and say, "That's it, tap out, we're done. This game's over, we're going to lose." They haven't. They've just calmly said, "Okay, there's no such thing as a 10-point shot. We're going to have to slowly chip away and get back at this." And so you get 1 basket, and they play good defense, come back, you get another basket, and then stuff starts to snowball. And that's what we saw happen tonight. When you execute, and as Will Sheehy said tonight, we stuck to the game plan. When you do that and you just keep hammering home what you're supposed to be doing instead of freaking out and getting a little out of control and making some poor decisions, when you actually stick to the game plan and let stuff snowball with momentum, then good things happen.
Right, and you mentioned once in a while they would get out of control and make some mistakes. Indiana's really, really badly struggled with turnovers this season, and tonight it was a different story. They were in single-digit turnovers.
For the first time this season.
Yeah.
Season low, 9
season
turnovers.
low. They had 9 turnovers. How many? They had
14 assists.
14 assists to 9 turnovers.
Only the 3rd time this season that they've had more assists and fewer turnovers than their opponents.
Well, stat of the day. But it's a huge deal, even though, as you pointed out in the first half, that Wisconsin was scoring off Indiana's turnovers, and Indiana wasn't really capitalizing so much on Wisconsin turnovers. It was still the fact that Indiana wasn't throwing those possessions away. They were able to get shots, and they were able to actually run their offense a little bit with a little bit more consistency without guys, making doing foolish things like traveling or throwing the ball to a place where a player isn't, things like that. And especially in the second half, I think against Penn State they only turned the ball over like once in the final 8 minutes, something like that.
Yeah.
And then tonight the final turnover came with 10 minutes to go in the game, and they kept the ball and were able to be under control for the final 10 minutes of the game, which is incredibly, it's just an enormous difference. There are just so many massive differences we've seen in these past 2 games with Indiana.
It's like the team's growing up in front of our eyes.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. This baby is being whatever. And we're seeing it take its first steps, and it's it's really incredible to see what this team is capable of, because we kind of knew that all along. We knew that these guys, Stan Robinson, Troy Williams, Noah Vonleh, all of these young guys were incredibly talented and could do so much, but they just weren't quite getting it together. And now they are. They're starting to get it together. They beat one of the best teams probably in the country tonight, which kind of means all bets are off. The rest of the season. Maybe they could hang with Michigan State if they play them again, with Michigan, with Ohio State, maybe with some of those top tier teams in the Big Ten. But we're going to find out. Obviously, they still haven't. Or I guess they've won both on the road and at home, so they've kind of gone over that hurdle. But we're going to see if they can do it again this Saturday.
And as Green said, any team can beat
on any given day. Yeah.
Any team in the Big Ten. That's just how good the Big Ten is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's how deep it's been the past few years, where a team that really has struggled and not looked really good in its first 2 games can then win a road game and then a game against the number 3 team in the country. But yeah, we'll see if Indiana can extend its winning streak to 3, get over 500, get over that next hump in Big Ten play at Northwestern on 2:30 I think Saturday. I don't think we're going to be there, but we'll definitely be watching. We'll definitely be doing overtime and everything like that. And we're going to have tons more coverage from this game because it's the biggest game of the year, the biggest win of the year, the most significant one that we've been able to watch. But until Saturday, overtime is done. I'm Alex McCarthy For Robby Howard, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.